On May 31st, 1995, a young woman checks into the Oslo Plaza Hotel, a premier luxury hotel in Norway. 3 days later, she is found dead from a gunshot wound to the forehead in her hotel room. Her death is ruled as self-inflicted. But was it really? This question is just one of many regarding this unsolved mystery. Who was she? Why did she check in under a false name? Why were the labels of her clothes removed? Why did she kill herself? According to the show Unsolved Mysteries, she was likely murdered. If so, who murdered her and what was the motive? Join us as we unravel the truth of her identity and what most likely happened that led to her death. The discovery. On June 3, 1995, Saturday, a little after 7:30 p.m., Evy Tudum Gjertsen, a receptionist at the Oslo Plaza, noticed that the guests in room 2805 had exceeded their credit limit. She sent a message to the occupants, Jennifer and Lois Fairgate, via the room's pay TV service. The message appeared on the screen stated, "Please contact the cashier." Someone acknowledged the message a few minutes later by pressing the OK button on the remote control. The receptionist noticed that there have already been 2 similar messages sent to the room between Thursday and Saturday. The guests have stayed for 3 nights without having paid for anything yet. The room was quite expensive, costing 1,845 kroner per night, which in today's value would be around 3,100 kroner or $300. Gjertsen calls housekeeping to inquire about the room. No one has cleaned it since Thursday. A Do Not Disturb sign was hung on the door from Friday to Saturday. Gjertsen feels that something is off, so she tells hotel security to check on the guests. Espen Ness, a part-time security guard, took the elevator to the 28th floor. He knocks on the door of room 2805 at 7:50 p.m. Immediately after, he hears a gunshot from inside the room. He immediately withdraws to hide behind a small protrusion in the corridor. As far as he knows, there are 2 people staying in the room. After a few minutes of indecision, Ness decides to head to the reception desk and alert the security manager. He has a 2-way radio, but he didn't want to create panic by broadcasting the situation to the entire hotel staff. He also calls the police. 15 minutes later, the head of the security arrives outside room 2805 and knocks on the door. No one answers. He repeats the action. After getting no response again, he uses his key card to unlock the door. He notices that the room's double lock is enabled from the inside. This means that other than the security team, no other staff will be able to enter the room. Once the door is opened, the manager notes that there is an acrid smell inside the room. A woman is lying on the bed in an unnatural position with her arms raised up. The room is dark. The curtains are drawn but fluttering, revealing the window, which is slightly open. The TV is on. He calls out, but there's no answer. The manager steps back, closes the door, and alerts the police. They arrive half an hour later. The crime scene. When the police entered the room, they found a woman on the bed with a 9mm semi-automatic Browning pistol awkwardly gripped in her right hand, which is resting on her chest. Her eyes are open, staring at the ceiling. There's a hole on her forehead. There was significant blood loss. A lot of blood was found on the bed and the nearby pillow. Blood splatter was also found on the bedside table, the phone, and the nearby wall and ceiling. However, there was no blood splatter on her hands. The gun in the woman's hand was held in reverse. Her thumb was on the trigger, while her 4 other fingers were clasped around the rear of the pistol grip. The police didn't find any fingerprints on the gun. Its serial number had been filed away. The bed was messy, with both duvets lying next to each other, showing signs of having been used. There was an attaché case placed beside the bedside table. It had the logo of Braun Buffel, which is a German company that made luxury leather goods. The case contained 25 live rounds for the gun. There was nothing else inside. 2 spent cartridges were found on the floor beside the bed, indicating that 2 shots were fired. The first shot was found to have entered one of the pillows, penetrating the mattress and hitting the floor. The pillow seemed to have been flipped over after the shot was made because the burn mark was on the other side. It is presumed that it was the second shot that killed her. The woman was fully clothed in black. Except for a "Made in Italy" written in her shoes, there were no labels on her clothing to indicate where she came from. The room is tidy. In the closet they found 3 garments hanging. All except one piece of clothing had their labels and tags removed. The woman's blazer had the label René Lézard, which is a German fashion house. Based on the police pictures, removing that label would destroy the lining. According to the police, the blazer was bought in Germany. On the woman's left wrist was a bulky Citizen Aqualand watch, model CQ-1021-50. According to Interpol's investigation, this watch was manufactured in a factory in Tokyo in January 1992. However, the manufacturer could not find out where the watch was bought. There were no toiletries, makeup, or other personal items in the bathroom. There was a used towel on the floor. The soap, as well as one of the small bottles containing shampoo, had also been used. It seemed as if someone had taken a shower or a bath within the last 24 hours. A bathrobe looked to have been tossed onto the bed. On the luggage shelf beside the closet, there was a cotton sweater and a woman's long black leather jacket. A green bag made by Travelite, a German manufacturer, was found on one of the armchairs by the window. It contained bras and pantyhose. The bag's logo could not be removed without damaging the bag. On the table between the armchairs, there was a plate of half-eaten bratwurst and potato salad. This was ordered by the woman the night before she died. There was also a men's cologne bottle placed near the food. Other than this item, there were no indications that a man had lived in the room in the past 3 days. On the other armchair, there was a white bundle placed on the seat. The police report didn't describe what the item was. Based on witness accounts, it may have been a bedspread all rolled up. 3 soft drink bottles, a Coca-Cola Light, and an Asina orange drink, and a bag of potato chips were consumed and left on the table above the minibar. The room's phone records indicate that the woman called Belgium twice. However, the 2 numbers she called didn't exist. The complimentary newspaper beside the phone, an issue of USA Today, was still in a plastic bag provided by the hotel. But the room number marked on the bag was 2816, not 2805. It has never been mentioned who was staying in that room or why that newspaper was delivered to a different room. There was an iron and ironing board inside the room. It wasn't standard equipment. Witness accounts suggest that the woman must have requested these items either late Friday evening or Saturday. At 2:40 a.m., the police had the body taken away in a hearse. At 4:10 a.m., the bed and mattress were removed from the room. At 5 a.m., the police finished gathering evidence and released the room. The investigation. According to the hotel staff, the woman made the initial booking over the phone in English. On May 31st, she called early to inform the staff that she would be arriving later that day and added another person to her booking. At that time, she spoke in German. The woman was registered as a 21-year-old female named Jennifer Fairgate at the Oslo Plaza Hotel, though she signed in as Fairgate. The other occupant registered to the room is Lois Fairgate. One of the hotel staff remembers seeing a man accompany Jennifer while she checked into the hotel, but no one remembers seeing him afterwards. The address Jennifer provided, the town of Verlaine in Belgium, does not exist. The phone number on the hotel registration card was also problematic. While the phone number can be found in 2 zones in the Wallonia region of Belgium, it did not match with the area code she provided. The Belgian police verified that no one named Jennifer Fairgate or Lois Fairgate exists. On the registration card, Jennifer also put down the name Service as her employer. No company with that name existed in Belgium at that time. Curiously, she was able to check in without presenting any identification or credit card. According to the hotel staff, they had very strict policies. This should not have happened. The police couldn't find any form of identification on her or anywhere in the room. There was no wallet, money, credit card, or keys. According to witness statements, very few people actually saw Jennifer when she was staying at the hotel. She was given 2 key cards when she checked in. The 2 guests were supposed to stay until Friday. On Friday morning, Jennifer extended their stay until Sunday. She was given 2 new key cards. Based on the data gathered from the door lock system, the key cards were only used 5 times during the past 3 days. Take note that the system could only register entries into the room using the key cards, but it couldn't register the times when someone opens the door from inside and leaves the room. Based on witness accounts and the door lock system, this is the entire timeline of Jennifer's stay. An extra duvet is added at 3:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 31st, since the hotel was informed that the room will have a second occupant. Jennifer enters the room for the first time using a key card at 10:44 p.m. that night. Someone must have gone out of the room because the key card is used again to enter the room at 12:21 a.m. The key card is used again at 8:34 a.m. on Thursday, June 1st. Housekeeping. A room steward named Vigdis Vala and a 19-year-old trainee enters the room 3 times from 12:44 to 12:50 p.m. Both witnesses state that there was no one in the room and the extra duvet was unused. The bed is made by the room steward. The key card is used to open the door at 8:50 a.m. on Friday, June 2nd. The new key card was used. This must be the time she went to the reception to extend her stay. A hotel employee saw her go into the room and hang the red "Do Not Disturb" sign. This means that Jennifer must have left sometime before housekeeping came in at 12:44 p.m. on Thursday. More importantly, she didn't come back to the room until 8:50 a.m. the next day, after she got the new keycard. At 11:03 a.m. that same day, a keycard is used again to enter the room. This is the last time that the keycard was used. At 8:06 p.m. that night, Jennifer orders room service. At 8:23 p.m., the food arrives. The staff who brought it, Kristen Anderson, states that the room was tidy and the bed looked untouched. She also noticed that there was a trolley case in the room, the kind often used by flight attendants. She received a 50 kroner note, approximately $8 in 1995, as a tip, 5 times more than the usual tip given by guests. Note that this is the only time that Jennifer shows that she has money. Once on Friday and another time on Saturday, Jennifer uses the hotel's pay TV service. The police didn't include any information on what channel or language was selected during both times. Most of the guests on the 28th floor didn't notice anything of importance. Borghild Strandenes, the guest staying at room 2818, called the police 6 days after the incident to say that there was a foreign couple who caught her attention while she was at the hotel. She also claimed that she had been woken up one night due to loud banging noises coming from a nearby room. The police never called her back. Right across the corridor from Jennifer's room, room 2804, was Mr. F, who was from Belgium. He checked out on Saturday morning, several hours before Jennifer was discovered dead by the security guard. When interviewed by the reporter from VG, a Norwegian newspaper, Mr. F claimed that the hotel staff informed him about the woman's death when he was checking out on Saturday morning. When the reporter told him that Jennifer wasn't found dead until later that night, Mr. F states that he knows nothing except for what he was told. According to the initial autopsy, Jennifer was around 30 years old, give or take 5 years. Not 21, as she claimed. The autopsy also showed that Jennifer had undigested food in her body, specifically bratwurst and potato salad, the same food she ordered from room service the night before she died. According to the coroner, Jennifer must have consumed the food on the same day she died. Based on what was found in the room, half of the meal she had ordered had been eaten. This meant that this was the meal she ate just before she died. Why would she order food only to eat it 24 hours later? There were fingerprints on the potato chip bag, soft drink bottles, the cologne bottle, and a glass. All belonged to Jennifer. But her fingerprints weren't in Interpol's database. She had dental work done in both gold and porcelain, which were relatively expensive. This could not help narrow down the place where she came from, because this type of dental work can be seen in the US and a few European countries, such as Germany, the Netherlands, and Switzerland. Among all the clothes in the room, there are 2 types of items missing: panties and any attire for her lower limbs, such as pants, a skirt, or shorts. Aside from missing clothing, there is also no other type of luggage in the room, including the trolley case that the room service staff noticed when she delivered the food. The little green travel bag could not carry all of Jennifer's clothes. Moreover, the housekeeper noticed a particularly nice pair of shoes in the closet when they cleaned the room on Thursday morning. However, it was no longer in the room after Jennifer's death. The only pair available was on her feet, but it wasn't the pair that the housekeeper saw. The gun was traced back to a Browning factory in Herstal, Belgium. It was determined that the weapon was produced in 1990 or 1991. However, the National Criminal Investigation Service were unable to recover some parts of the serial number, making it impossible for the police to search the various weapons archives. The watch on her wrist was traced back to a Japanese watch factory. It was determined that the watch was produced in January 1992. The batteries inside the watch had an imprint indicating that they were manufactured in December 1994. They also had a hand inscription W395, which was how watchmakers noted the date of a battery change. The W could be short for Wechseln, which is German for change, switch, or replace. The numbers could mean March 1995. According to the hotel's internal report and the crime scene report, it is overwhelmingly likely that Jennifer took her own life. The hotel threw out everything in the room after the police was done gathering evidence, including the rolled-up white comforter on the armchair that was not deemed necessary by the police. Despite the ruling of suicide, there were still so many unanswered questions about Jennifer Fairgate. Why were all the labels and tags of her clothes removed? Why didn't she have any form of identification? Why did she book a room for 2 when she came alone? Where did she get the gun? And why did she have so many bullets if she planned to only kill herself? There were several theories regarding the Oslo Plaza Woman. Was she part of a drug operation and something went wrong, causing her to kill herself or get killed by someone else? Was she a high-end prostitute? Was she a depressed woman who wanted to kill herself in an unfamiliar place? Was she the missing wife of Italian mafia boss Leoluca Bagarella? Was she a professional assassin who came to kill someone in Norway only to get killed herself? Was she a spy? Is that why there were no clues that could lead to her identity? Despite the many theories, the police were unable to find anything that could lead to the truth about Jennifer Fairgate. After a year of investigating, the police gave up and Jennifer was finally laid to rest in an unmarked grave in Oslo. Most of the evidence was thrown out after the initial investigation was done. In 2016, Jennifer's body was exhumed to perform a full DNA profile. The results revealed that she was of European descent, most likely German, and around 23 to 25 years old when she died. But that was it. Almost 20 years have passed, but this mysterious death in Oslo remains an unsolved riddle. But according to our investigation, there's one theory that seems the best explanation as to what most likely happened to the Oslo Plaza Woman. She was a spy. There's a lot of evidence that shows how suicide is incredibly unlikely. Many experts, including the chief pathologist at Oslo University, Dr. Torleiv Olirojnum, MD, PhD, believe that Jennifer was murdered. There was no gunshot residue on her hand. No blood spots either. There were no fingerprints on the gun. Moreover, she was holding the gun in an awkward position. The 9mm Browning pistol has a powerful recoil. Given this, there should have been some scrapes or marks on her fingers at the very least. Also, the gun should have fallen out of her hand. The number of bullets in the bag also didn't indicate that she planned to kill herself. It was more likely that she, or whoever brought that case, planned to use the weapon for protection or something more sinister. In addition, those who commit suicide generally want to be found. The missing items from her room, makeup, toiletries, wallet, IDs, money, and the bottoms of her clothing hindered the authorities' abilities to identify her. That's not the usual practice of someone depressed. It's what someone who wanted to hide his or her identity would do. More importantly, where did some of her clothes disappear to? Since she didn't commit suicide, it's highly likely that Jennifer was murdered, and evidence suggests that she was from the intelligence community, which may have led to her death. Removing tags and labels from clothing is a common practice among intelligence agents, according to Ola Kaldager, a group leader for E14, which is a unit within the Norwegian intelligence service. The removal of the gun's registration number was also professionally done. Kaldager also stated that intelligence agents can leave a room undetected, making it look as if it was locked from the inside. While there was no indication of a struggle on her body or anywhere inside the room, some theorized that Jennifer might have been drugged. The police only tested her blood for alcohol, not for drugs. Once incapacitated, she could have been shot in the head before the scene was set to look like a suicide. In addition, Oslo Plaza was often visited by government leaders. In fact, many intelligence services of different countries often use Norway for holding meetings, according to Kaldager. As to why there was no family member claiming the body, Kaldager also has an answer. It was the usual practice for the agency to notify the family and provide them with compensation, provided that they never talk about their missing or dead family member. Although our conclusions are not backed by definitive proof, based on all the investigations conducted on Jennifer Fairgate by various individuals and organizations, it's most likely that her death is linked to the world of spies, where secrets may never be fully uncovered. If you love our content and want to support the channel, feel free to check our web shop where you can find exclusive true crime merch brought to you by Bad Things.